Welcome, everyone. I am Dr. Dream, and you are here for a sub-podcast of the It's All Good Show. This is EESystem Center owners interviews. And as you know, this is very meaningful for me as the EE system itself in 2020 played a incredibly important role in my healing from back-to-back strokes. Uh, our guest today is Michelle Lynray, and Michelle is in Little Rock, Arkansas. She has the Cumberland Crest House, and you all know that I don't ever do a background in the Zoom interviews, but this was too good to pass up because the background that I'm using is the actual here. I kind of move over a little bit, move over a little bit. This is the actual setup and the room as it was when we did our last experience there, which was February of this year, 2025. And we did our first experience there in October of 2024. And so I'm just super excited to have Michelle on the It's All Good show. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Dream. I tell you, it's a pleasure to be part of what you're doing. Having experienced your masterful work here twice, we absolutely are blessed, and I'm just delighted that you have that picture behind you. It's really fun. It makes me happy.
I love it. I kind of feel like we're in the same room in an odd sort of way. It's sort of kind of Twilight Zone, but it's still fun.
Definitely, definitely.
Before we get into everything about Cumberland Crest House and what you've got going on there, I think it's really important to have you share a little bit about your background and how it's led you to where you are today.
Right. So I grew up with a father who was very much into preventative medicine. He was a pharmacologist with a major of immunology and toxicology. So if we got sick, it was take a bunch of vitamins. Yeah, lots of vitamin C powder if you needed to just kind of flush everything out. If you started to not feel good from something you ate, it was here's some amino acids that'll make you feel better. So I learned about alternative ways for healing from the get-go. My experience out of high school was essentially to rebel against all things alternative medicine or medical, and I became a legal secretary for a law firm, and I worked for them for about 4.5 years or so. And though I thought this was like, okay, I'm absolutely leaving my traditional tribe of alternative medicine, and then I started to do mindfulness work. And I started becoming curious about why I believe what I believe and why I think the way that I do. And keep in mind, at this point, I'm about 20. So when I realized I could change my mind really quickly, but my body was slow to keep up with that, right? I mentioned it to a gal who at the time owned a bookstore called the Mind Emporium in Henderson, Nevada. And she said, sounds to me like you need Rolfing. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but sign me up. And so I called, and the gentleman that I spoke with was not the Rolfer who I was trying to reach, but he had a really cool accent. And so I ended up talking to him for a long time. And I ended up getting some work from, his name was Robert, and connecting with him as well as David Tepper, the Rolfer, who was out of town at first and then came back. Anyway, so I received my first 10 series of structural integration or Rolfing work. This would have been in about 93. And the gentleman who had answered the phone with a really great accent ended up becoming my husband and the father of my child, who's going to be 30 this year.
Goodness.
I know. So that then basically dove me into other aspects of health and wellness. He was very much into, excuse me, into yoga. And so we explored much of that together, meditated and the like. So after we ended up having Adam, but we moved to Arkansas at that time. And when we did, there was about 3.5 months or so with our newborn. And then Robert was going to go see some clients out of town, and he had a car accident that rendered him basically in a coma for about 8.5 months. This is a really long story short. The people of Arkansas that were around us at that time, my friends and you know, his clients, they just came out of the woodwork and just held such beautiful space for our healing as a new family. And though Robert passed just before Adam's first birthday, the impact he made on the world was big. And I still run into people who knew him here in Arkansas, which is really fun to do. So after he passed, I was like, well, our dream was for the two of us to do this work together. And I went on ahead and I got certification with the Guild for Structural Integration to do the Rolfing work. And that would have been in about 96, 97. So that really began my part of the healing journey, for my own presence, my own awareness, being able to gather tools that was like, oh, this could help me with that, or these essential oils can, you know, shift my memory awareness and focus, or, you know, as you're incorporating alignment with the posture, it's like, well, what's happening with the energetic field, or what's happening with the emotional levels, or what's happening with, you know, the belief systems that got locked into the tissue, or the injuries or the impacts that someone has experienced that might have gotten stuck, you know, in the system. So I'm constantly gathering tools, you know, oh, maybe this could help with that. This is a vagal nerve stimulator, so let's work with the nervous system that way. And 28 years of that kind of creates more than a toolbox, a bit more of a ginormous storage shed. So that has basically led me up to this point of where I'm back in Arkansas, and I'm traveling back and forth between Nevada and here. I still have clients there, so I would go work on them. And on one of my journeys back to Nevada, one of my clients said, hey, you have to watch this video. And of course, it was the video that went viral. And so I did, and I was like, oh, hang on a minute, what's happening here? So I went to a center there at the time. There was an 8-unit. And I went and experienced that. And I thought, oh, it's very nice and gentle and easy. And within a short period of time, there was a space that had a 16-unit, and then another space that opened that had the 24. And I noticed for me with the 16-unit that with the 8, I could still be thinking, I could still be like, you know, off in my own mind. The 16, I noticed I wanted to meditate more. I wanted to go within, and I even took a nice little nap, right? And then in the 24, for me, I noticed that I couldn't think. Like, I realized my thoughts were literally damming up the waters of this flow of energy that was available to me within this space. And so I needed to move myself out of my way. And so once I experienced that with the 24, I honestly was like, I've got to figure out how to bring this to Arkansas.
So give us an idea. I mean, you're very much, you know, feeling all the energies and everything. What kind of shift did you feel for yourself with that 24 unit? Like, what did it bring up for you, or what was it like?
Yeah. So when I first experienced the 24, I felt there's 3 main energy centers of the body, right? In the dantians, if you're familiar with that. And so the lower dantian, the middle at the heart, and then the upper. And I felt like within the first hour, like it had cleaned out my lower and my middle dantians. And within the second hour, it started to clean and refreshed, this kind of upper energy that my system has. So what that did for me in awareness, I'm very viscerally attuned to myself. And so what that did for me was just kind of open up different pathways to, oh, here's like access, to more of who I am, and sort of an expanded energy body, if you will, that, like I liken it to if you put a bunch of children inside of a wide open fence in a field, they like huddle together, right? They're really small, right? And if you put up a boundary around them, then they go to the fence, they play around, they want to climb over the fence. There's sort of this freedom in the boundary, right? And a lot of us think that our boundary is our physical body. And in that sense, then the body doesn't have any room to go anywhere. It's like, oh, I'm right here. And so if in dance and movement, they call it your kinesphere. And so it's wherever you can reach to. So it's about 3 feet around that's considered your space, right? And if you have that as a boundary, then your physical body just goes, I can relax. I can be in this space. I can move around. I can dance. I can just be free. And so in the 24, for me, it really helped me go, oh yeah, that's where I am. Like I'm also in this expanded place. And that was really powerful for my perception of my reality, if nothing else.
Oh, I love that description. Now, we've been to your location twice now, and it is amazing. The name of your center is Cumberland Crest House. And tell us a little bit about it, because I've been to a lot of centers, and this is on the list of very unique ones.
Thank you. So Cumberland Crest House was built in 1889. And there was a woman who designed it and built it. Her name was Lizzie Bean, Bein. And there's a whole history of what happened with the house after that. By the time we took it over, it had been with a law firm for a number of years. So these beautiful kind of offices with a long hall going down the middle. But it's a Victorian craftsman house with these amazing pocket doors. Like it's just rich, it's rich in its architectural design, but it has that warm home kind of, feeling to it as well. And if you see pictures of the outside of it, we almost calls it our like storybook house, it's like
Right.
this, fanciful, magical place. And then we have this amazing garden that Jose Martinez did for us. And it is really mature this year. It's so beautiful. There are flowers everywhere. You're just like, this is great. I love working here. Like it's just very, very sweet.
Well,
But
you definitely feel that energy when we first walked in. I recall we pulled up before you had gotten there, and so we had a little time outside, and we were just like, "Wow, this is really something else." So the feel of just looking at the house in and of itself, and then you walk in, and as you said, the pocket doors and the trim and just everything you can see behind me, the fireplace and the column, I mean, it's got this feel. And then the 24 unit EESystem is in this room that just feels so comfortable from the get-go.
thank you. Yes, Sandra Michael had mentioned to me some time ago that, how she envisioned the centers were, each individual temple, right? Like, so you bring to it what's sacred for you inside that space. And I really I feel that here. I feel like, this has created a temple environment for us to go into that center and to be able to remember who we are, which is the beauty of this particular tool that we have.
Fabulous. Now, as an EE System Center, you've just had the 24 units set up since around August of 23. So that's we're coming up on a 2-year anniversary here in a little bit. share with us, as all the centers have, very unique testimonials and things that have happened in this space and everything. Can you share with us some of the testimonials from some of your clients?
My favorite would definitely be when people come in and do overnights with us. We have a 12-hour overnight offering. And, one gal who came in really back in August, I mean, she was, one of the first people to come and spend the night with us. And she had had AFib and some difficulties with her heart. She came in saying 6 different things, which I couldn't tell you what they were exactly. But she was very detailed about what was wrong. And then when after her session with us, a couple of weeks went by and she sends me this beautiful testimony. And she says she went to get her EKG and it was a perfectly normal EKG, like nothing showed up as being an issue. So it appeared that all of these 6 things that were a problem in the past were not with this particular test. And so she was like, this is great. And then she went to her eye doctor, which I don't believe she had mentioned to me that she had issues with her eyes. And she had said that normally when she would have the pressure in her eyes read, it was a 20 and 30. And after doing 12 hours in the overnight, it was a 10 and 11. So that was a really profound change for her. We definitely have had people that come in, that had the floaters, and those are like gone in the first session, with some people. Other people come in and they're like, oh, my knee doesn't hurt anymore. This is amazing. So as their body is letting go of the inflammation that they've been holding on to before. So
And with all of your experience and in different modalities, and just as you say, you've gathered all of these techniques and everything that have created you as you right now. How do you describe the EE system to someone who comes in and doesn't really know at all what it is?
I reference it as a big biological battery booster. So
Yeah.
yeah, so essentially when you're needing to charge up your car, which we have, a lot of EVs around these days, we need to charge up our bodies, and this is a beautiful way to do that. And then usually I get asked, well, like, how does that happen? And then like, do I need to look at the monitors? And I would say, no, actually, it's better if you don't look at the monitors. And I equate that to, like, if you're going to charge up your car, you don't have the lights on and the radio going and the AC blaring too. You just want to turn all of that off so that you can just charge, recharge the car. So you want to recharge your system by turning as much of your nervous system down into parasympathetic so that you can rest and digest. And then, yeah, that's where you're going to heal. This is why I think overnights are just so powerful, because you really don't have to be anywhere else. You don't have to be thinking about what's next. You're just here and just letting go. Yeah.
So I have, it was before I met you, and we had already booked our Sacred Sounds and Scalar Energy experience there. And a testimonial about you was shared with me that I feel is at kind of the highest level of testimonials based on who it came from. And it came from Dr. Sandra Rose Michael. And
Mm.
she is the inventor and the founder of EESystem. And she was so excited that Stephanie and I were coming to Cumberland Crest House. And she said, you have to get a session with Michelle. And she went on to say, there's very few people I ever allow that close in my field and to do session work on me. And Michelle is one of the rare people that I not only allow to work on me, but she has such a tremendous impact. And I thought, oh my gosh. So October of 24 was our first time there. We didn't have time for a session. And so when we came back in February, I said, I want a session. And Stephanie had to go to her holistic dentist in another city. So I stayed in Little Rock and I was going to have a session. I was preparing for my session with you. And I shared this with you, but I'll share it with everyone. Stephanie was so cute. She said, I'm a little envious that you're going to get to have a massage with Michelle. And I said, oh, sweetie, I'm not quite sure that the word before it would be a massage. And I had a session with you, and I didn't know what to expect, but I knew not to expect a massage. And it actually has me, oh my goodness, welling up a little bit. Oh, wow. It was such a powerful session for me. Um, I'm so caught off guard right now. It really, I mean, ooh, talk about a testimonial to the work that you do. This was months ago. It rocked my world. It absolutely rocked my world. And I was like, wow, that Michelle is really, so present, so caring, and then so talented at what you do. I don't think most people understand or know what Rolfing is. So if you could just give us or give everyone a little bit more to go on, and then I want you to talk about the different modalities. You've got so much going on there, but let's start with the Rolfing, with what I experienced from you.
It's sweet for you to share that. Thank you. The structural integration or Rolfing work was developed by Ida P. Rolf. And funny enough, we share the same birth date, May 19th. So obviously not the same year, but same. And it essentially, the medium of it is the fascial tissue. So when you have injuries or impacts in the body, or which can be, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, wherever that's affecting your field, there's a restriction that can come in between two muscles that are supposed to glide next to each other. And when that gets restricted, it gets stuck, gets a little adhered, sticky. And so then the body will rotate slightly and go, well, if I can't do the job and you can't do the job, if we move this way just a little bit, then that guy can do the job. And so that's what we call a compensation pattern in the body. When we compensate, we're not as efficient. So things aren't flowing as nicely as they could. And so the structural integration work in particular goes in and through manual manipulation, just helps to kind of open that tissue up. It's kind of like stretching a plastic bag without breaking it, right? Just a nice stretch, nice and easy. And I always like to think, it's really, for me, it's important to go at the pace in which the person is ready. And so I don't want to go, it's not my agenda. Like, I'm not like pushing, like, this is what your body should do. If you're not ready, that's, it's got to be something that you're ready for. That to say that, I want you to move into your body and to be present in your body. It's not like a massage where you could just check out for an hour and come back and pick your body up. We want to have active participation with that, which allows you then to own the changes, right? Neurologically, you're making those connections between your brain and your body in that new way. So that is definitely a key for structural integration, is neuromuscular re-education, fancy word to say the brain and the body are talking to each other in a better way.
It created an incredible shift for me. And you were able to identify, again, like you were saying, ways that, due to the back-to-back strokes I had and this and that and life in general, the way my body was compensating, that isn't always the best way for it to stay. And it was quite a powerful session. I called Stephanie right afterwards and said, boy, you really, let me tell you what this massage was like. But it was challenging in a most profound. I mean, the mind body connection and everything else, and obviously my response just a few moments ago in introducing this, um, tremendous impact on me, and I recommend it to anyone that can make their way to see you in Little Rock or in Las Vegas as you do work there. Now, that's not the only thing that you all do at Cumberland Crest House, and you're not alone there. And so give us a little bit more of an overview now of everything else that you do and that the others do there.
Sure. So one thing that that I just want to touch in on is that everyone here is informed with internal family systems, which is parts work. So Richard Schwartz is the developer of that type of work. So it's a lot of interest in who's living here, right? What part of us is living here in this pain that we're experiencing? It's just a way to access the body and to connect with communicating, again, sort of a neurological connection between the two. And we are also brain spotting certified, which, you know, in my opinion, is sort of next level EMDR. So when you're working with trauma, physical trauma, emotional trauma, you know, the brain spotting, wherever you look determines how you feel. And that's David Grand's work. And it's a very powerful, gentle way to unwind those neurological patterns of if this, then that, if this, then that, you know, or if we look here, we go, oh, wait, maybe if this, then that, you know, and just kind of allow for different neurological options, right? Possibilities in the way that we think and view our life. So that to say, I would, like I said, the big umbrella here is how can we serve the best, the deepest, having that kind of impact for people that's changing lives and helping people to tune into their own resources, right? Helping them to go like, oh, actually, I'm bigger than I thought I was. You know, what is it like if I'm moving into this space, you know, and then how do I live my life in a different way? So the modalities that we offer, just a few that I have with Total Body Being, which is more the body work side of things. A lot of them incorporate ways that can assist someone who is doing the EE systems as well. So as you know, with the EE, it helps to encourage the body to have enough energy to take out its trash, right? So we're wanting to kind of go like, we got a clean house, right? So what do we need to do to get rid of this garbage in the lymphatic system, for example? And so we have a flow presso here, which you're wrapped up in your arms and your legs and your torso. And there's 22 different compartments that inflate, deflate, inflate, deflate, inflate. And it moves all that interstitial fluid up your body so that it can cycle back through the heart like it's supposed to. So that is a really powerful, warm hug. It's got infrared heat. So it's just amazing for the nervous system. They were doing some research with policemen. They've discovered that when you lay down, the policeman lays down, he's actually has an increase in cortisol levels because he can't be hypervigilant, right? Because he's laying down. It's like, wait, I need to stand up so I can be alert, right? So laying down and sleeping can be very difficult for people that are in that, you know, hyper aware state for their work. And so doing the flow presso is actually a way of retraining the nervous system to know, oh yeah, that's what parasympathetic feels like. And so we have headphones, which we also have in the EESystem suite here. And we play Bodhi tree bilateral music in there, which basically, again, kind of soothes the nervous system, dropping it into parasympathetic so that it can rest and heal. So when you're laying there being warm hugged everywhere, you can also kind of go into this lovely ocean in your mind. So that's kind of fun. We have the RF cleanse, which is a radio frequency cleanse. It comes up through your feet and it affects the meridians of the body. It also heats up the lymphatics. So I liken it to when you get sick and you get a fever and that kills off the bacteria, like that just kind of helps boost your immune system. And so that heat within your lymphatic also kind of helps give it a rest, you know. So it's like, oh, you know, the recruits have come, you know, the reinforcements. That's what I was looking for. And so, and then while you're on sitting there behind you and on your back is this lovely TheraPro pad that we have, which has full spectrum infrared, red light, plus 9 different PEMF settings that are good for grounding and the Schumann resonance, things like that, that can kind of help the system. And then there's another pad that we have that you could add on that's UV light. So that helps with obviously vitamin D production. You know, even when funny enough, when I lived in Vegas, vitamin D is so low because nobody goes outside. It's too hot, you know.
Right.
And so you're gonna think, okay, how am I gonna get my vitamin D if I'm not gonna go outside? So if you're going outside, you're probably good, you know. So we have that option as well. And then in addition to that, of course, we have the BioWell, which, you know, with registering the different fingers, you're able to see what's happening with the full body system energetically, and the chakra alignments and all of that fancy stuff. And, you know, all the tools, I've got like, you know, scanner device, I've got other like cold lasers, you know, they all just do other fancy stuff. And I always just say, you know what, but the Cadillac is the EESystem. It's like this, you know, and this is like the cream of the crop, like all up on top of all of that. So those are just basically what I focus on. And then yes, in the house, there's 2 other people, Cindy Brown and her daughter, Emily Brown, and the 2 of them have their own businesses as well. They've been friends of mine for 25 or so years now. And we came together really because of the EESystem. Like it was, I said, hey, this needs to come to Arkansas, and I don't know where or how, but what do you think? And then the ball just started to roll in the direction of us coming together with our businesses and bringing the EESystems for everybody too. And Cindy Brown has Attachment Services of Arkansas, and she specifically focuses on working with parents and children who have had attachment issues. So if there's been fostering or divorce or adoption, those kinds of things can really, you know, take someone out of a secure attachment, you know, into more of a reactive attachment or a disorganized attachment. And so she has amazing tools, and she's very gifted in being able to bring the families together and helping teach the children how to regulate, helping teach the parents how to help the kids and themselves so that they can all be working together beautifully. Yeah, she and her team of people that in her business are just phenomenal with what they do. And they work a lot in tandem with the occupational therapy that is upstairs in our house. Joyous OT, owned by Emily Brown, and Joyous OT, the logo is a sea otter. And so I don't know if you remember going into the stairwell, but the ocean, she set up the whole stairwell as you're coming from the bottom of the ocean and you're coming up, and she has these, you know, paper animals, you know, that are applicable to the different levels of the ocean floor to the top, and the sun chimes now up on the ceiling. You know, it's great fun. And they do a lot of beautiful work with primitive reflexes. They do a lot of trauma-focused occupational therapy. They have a lot of kids that are sensory seeking, so with like reactive attachment disorders. So they have people like, you know, kids will be running and then jumping into a big pile of bean bags, and then they get a weighted blanket thrown on top of them, you know, so they just have a lot of fun up there for sure. But it's all with purpose, and it all is designed to help regulate the nervous systems and kind of retrain some of those things that were turned off from developmental traumas or things that they experienced growing up. So again, it's powerful and beautiful, and what they do for families, and the little bit I get to indulge in holding space for with doing some body work on some of these kids, or just, you know, helping them remember that they're bigger than their bodies, and so they can get big. It's really fun. I had one client who I said, well, how his field, he says, is like a big rainbow ball, you know. That's beautiful. I go, well, so every time I see him, like, how big is your rainbow ball now? And he'll be like, it's 10 feet. And I'm like, awesome. Awesome. I love that. So that's been really fun to, you know, blend together and to hold space for these amazing kids, which are, of course, our next generation. So yeah, it's a gift.
I have to say that I'm so impressed with the container of the Cumberland Crest House
Mm.
and everything that goes on there. We didn't just come in, do an event, and leave. We did several of our experiences facilitated there, and then I got to spend a day doing one-on-one sessions with people from your community, and it was a beautiful experience for me, and to meet the other practitioners and to feel this really beautifully held heart space that you all have fostered there is a it was a gift for us just passing through and being able to spend some time. It is such a gift that you have all put yourselves out there and offer this in your community. Little Rock is very fortunate to have you there, and it's a treat. It's a treat to have you on the It's All Good show. Now, we're nearing the end of the our conversation here. Is there anything we've left out or anything you'd like to highlight here at the end?
I would like to highlight just two things. One is that the EE systems for me is for the community. I really firmly felt that this community has held me over the years, and I really just wanted to give back. I wanted to serve bigger, right? And so bringing the EE systems and knowing that the scalar frequencies goes through walls 2.5 miles, like we're covering Children's Hospital and the Capitol and people coming and going from the airport, and that just delights me so much to know that we're in this like epicenter of beautiful impact for everyone around us. So I'm very grateful to have that opportunity for them. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that you were quite the inspiration for a couple of members of your last event here that, yeah, so Brad Hamilton and Thaddeus, I don't know if you remember, but they're like, hey, how can we go ahead and do some more sound stuff and bring in the Lucia light? And so it's opened up another event possibility since you're not traveling around at this moment. I'm like, okay, this was really great. And sure, you've inspired these people to sort of come and fill in the space that you created here with us. And so I just want to thank you for lending that inspiration. And we're going to do our best to keep going with different events that we can share this space with other people that are interested in coming and healing and discovering who they really are on the inside.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's a beautiful reminder that we have no idea how far the ripple effect from who we are and what we put out there, how far that goes. And so it's really nice to hear that and send my love and blessings to everyone there. And to you, Michelle, thank you so much. I meet a lot of people, and I immediately love everyone that comes into my field. But the love that was reflected back to me through you was truly life changing. And I look forward to meeting up again in Little Rock or Las Vegas or wherever we may find ourselves. But you are a gift to humanity, and we are anyone that gets to experience your presence, your gifts as you share them, is just so much better off in this life. And thank you for the role that you play,
I'm honored. Thank you so much.
and appreciate you being here on the It's All Good show.